Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a wonderful day. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. The cryptocurrency space news section has been devastated in the last couple of months as a lot of the news floating around seems to be nearly nonsensical. And I'm not sure if it's some type of collective delusion that a lot of people are going through, or if this news is actually some of the greatest news that we've ever gotten in our lives, and maybe I just don't understand what's really happening anymore. It says inflation in the Eurozone has started to decline, but the area's monetary authority expects it to remain above its target over the next 2 years. So I'm not sure if you've bought anything in the last 2 years. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you are living in the woods or off grid or something. And I don't know what everyone's doing. But a large portion of the financial news has been that inflation is here. I told you stories years ago. I had a number of, more than one is terrifying, a number of friends who didn't know what inflation was. I tried explaining to a friend years ago that he should not put his money in a CD, a certificate of deposit, with his bank, because they were only going to be giving him half of 1% for a 5-year lockup. He didn't understand it. What do you mean? Like, this sounds like a great financial thing. And I was like, well, inflation is typically 2 to 3% per year. Countries like to tell us that they're aiming for a 1 to 2% inflation rate, but it almost never happens. It's usually 2 to 3%, except for the last couple of years where we saw inflation go to 9%, to 12%. You name it, it's always been a bit crazy. I've been seeing and if you're not looking at the screen, it's Lagarde, who is the head of the European Central Bank. She's holding her face devastated in this photo for reasons unknown, or maybe she's like sniffing the side of her hand. I'm not really sure what's happening in this photo. Maybe she has some like lotion or something on it. But yeah, a lot of people, I think and feel. Now, once again, Not only am I not a financial expert, I am not a financial anything. I've been in the crypto space for a long time. I know what the waves and motions are. However, I've noticed that a lot of newer people to the space tend to exaggerate, overblow situations where, like, similar for those of you who haven't been paying attention to the entire BRICS nations, BRICS. They're apparently trying to make a brand new currency that's backed by gold. Now, I will try to say this in a very nice way, and I don't know how long I'll be able to hold on to it. This currency is going to go nowhere. I don't know whose feelings I just hurt. I don't know why your feelings are hurt. I'm not really sure. A lot of people seem to be rooting for the end of the US dollar, in that they believe that the slowing down and or end of the US dollar would give Bitcoin a big boost, and being the more, the stronger one, that these countries who are trying to get away from the US dollar would magically be like, wait, let's start using Bitcoin instead. The countries who are part of this agreement, who are trying to circumvent and get around the US dollar, I would say, I think you, the listener, should read up on these countries and their history and their economic decisions and economic problems that have come from them. The idea that these companies would come together like the Megazord and simply make a brand new utopia for the world with their currency that they themselves haven't been able to get under control. What happens if you walk into the supermarket and you find 5 pieces of rotten fruit? First of all, you wouldn't buy them. Secondly, if you bought these 5 pieces of rotten fruit and you place them side by side and they form together into one gigantic moldy monster, would you then go, whoa, 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 I think this is my new source of food? Or would you simply assume that the thing that they created, that they haven't been able to get right for the past 50, 60, 70 years, would also be a moldy pile of garbage? Like I said, I'm trying to say it in the nicest way possible, but I keep seeing people on crypto Twitter especially talking about this new BRICS currency as if it's going to be a good thing. This is about monetary control. They don't care about you or your future or what money you're using. They want you to use their money, and it's about control. Like I told you all before, the phrase is better the devil you know. 2, the assumption that these countries are going to help you come into some new utopian world living arrangement when they get rid of the US dollar is not going anywhere. We are going to have the US dollar for a very long time. Even under the scenario of Bitcoin hitting $500,000 to $1 million, the US dollar still exists alongside Bitcoin. It is simply not as strong as it previously used to be. Look into the history of the US dollar, why the world uses it, why it will continue to be around, and the other implications of us having this currency. Just thought I'd throw that. I've seen a lot of people asking me, and a lot of times I don't ignore your questions. I see your questions. I see people talking about it. I see the comments on Twitter. Understand that while I have a relatively optimistic and rose-colored glasses view of the world, I like to be optimistic about things. I don't want to be depressed and sad all the time. I also have a realistic approach to information that we already have. Why do I think Bitcoin is going to continue to grow and take over the world? Because it's done so for the past 14 years. If it was just us, me and you, my viewers who are into Bitcoin, I'm like, guys, it might be time to pack it up. When you hear these million, billion, trillion-dollar companies getting into it, it solidifies all the concrete. All the bricks that I've been laying are abundantly clear. When I hear that garbage is going to be producing garbage, there's no sign in my head where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be it. They're going to bring in a new economic unity for the rest of the world to get away from the US dollar to make things better. Never forget this. The life that you live right now, the life you are currently living, is because of the power of the US dollar. The security that you have and you feel, and that is even in the case of if you don't like your job and the job is just giving you enough money to pay your rent and your light and your gas, you don't understand that that is still a level of security that 3.5 billion people on this planet do not have. So first worldly, it's not as secure as you would like to be. And you are in this position of, forgive me, low level security because of the US dollar. If the US dollar collapses, so does everything that you own. You have to understand what all of this is about. This is why the significance of Bitcoin continuing to grow over 14 years alongside the world currency is so significant. When you see people who used to champion the US dollar now beginning to slowly back Bitcoin, and hearing that even the US dollar is holding Bitcoin, you can find the information online, it's significant. So I've seen even people before talking about like the crumbling of the Eurozone and other things like that. I don't think people understand how the world works, how money flows, like who's protecting who. It's a very big shield that you would only make a lot more sense that you would see if you read up on economic policies and how things that are actually built. This news story in front of us with Christine Lagarde, smelling her hand, being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe what that smell is, has to do with that people are finding out that Christine Lagarde says she believes that inflation will be above 2% for the next 2 years. Period. That's literally what's going on. The European Central Bank has to do more to bring it down. Its governor commented on the backdrop of stable consumer expectations about rising prices during the same period. Eurozone inflation is decreasing, as it relatively is everywhere else. And I also have my own, question marks for those as well. The consumer price indexes are dropping, yes. But you have also noticed when you look around you, I saw someone saying, what was it? This was a couple days ago. One of my friends was talking to me and he said he had to get something fixed on his car that would have normally been maybe like 120 to get fixed. And the guy was trying to charge him like 400 and he was like, oh yeah, man, inflation. There was something a couple days ago, one of those video games, Roblox, Block was like one of the things, whatever the kids are playing with all the little blocky stuff. They recently announced, was it maybe Minecraft? One of the games that has skins. They were announcing that they have to raise their prices because of inflation. And I'm like, that's not how inflation works. Like you've doubled the prices of these things. Inflation is clearly not 2, 3, 4, 5%. If everything in the supermarket is also going up by 50, 75, 180% at the exact same time. But once again, I literally digress from that conversation. In June, the president of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde, said in an interview published by the bank this week, speaking to the French daily news La Provence, Lagarde explained that the trend is mainly due to the fall in commodity and energy prices, while suggesting that the European Central Bank's monetary policy decisions had also had an impact on prices. What? That doesn't make any sense. Of course, what may have had an effect? You guys make the rules. Of course, everyone else is gonna. However, when asked by the newspaper if inflation is under control at last, are they stupid? And everyone knows that inflation isn't under control. Have prices returned back to where they were in 2020? What kind of newspaper would ask the head of the European Central Bank if inflation was under control? You can listen. There's somebody out there who has never, one of you has never ever studied economic anything. You can go to the supermarket. You can go to JCPenney. Is that still a store? You can go to Target. You can go to Walmart. And you're like, whoa, the prices are definitely different from where they were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. You can clearly see that inflation is not under control. Am I missing something? Has anyone watched the latest episode of, or the latest episodes of Black Mirror? I feel like I'm in some like really weird, like other dimension kind of thing where things just aren't really making a lot of sense because I read, and it's not even crypto news. I read so much normal news now and I'm like, are people okay? Does anyone know what's going on in the world anymore? Like imagine like you holding a pencil or a pen and you drop it to the floor and then someone makes an article about like how broccoli is sprouting from people's shoes and it just nothing's. The newspaper was asking her if inflation was under control, and she pointed out that the medium target of 2% is still higher and is expected to remain so in 2024 and 2025. She said, "We therefore still have work to do to bring it back down and reach our target." You know, that's still happening for like every other currency on the planet. Like, I'm not talking to Christine, like I'm talking to all of you. Like, this is, you all know that like inflation is going to be with us for quite some time. The monetary policies that we have are going to continue for the next 2 or 3 years until inflation is low enough that we stop hearing that all these things are happening, and then they'll freeze the interest rate and or lower it. And then prices will begin to skyrocket all over again, causing inflation to rise. Like, there's no way for them to actually get out of this loop, but they can contain it for a tiny bit with current economic policies. So I don't know who you are or who needs to hear this. If you think that the BRICS currency is going to be a good thing and will provide you with, a good life, it's not even do your own research. Just please read a book. Read multiple books, actually. Like, it's summertime. I said it before. Go find a park. Go find a tree. Sit under it in the shade. Bring a bottle of water because it's super hot everywhere. And read. what is happening with this planet right now that like none of the news seems to be making any sense. Here's the actual thing for those of you who are wondering. I'll also have this in the description below for those of you who want to oversee the articles as well. Yeah, Eurozone inflation is it was 5.5% in June, down from 6.1% in May. We will be getting new figures as we always do over the next couple of weeks to find out what it was at the beginning of July, etc., etc. Yeah, that's the news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in former NFL quarterback, his name is Tom Brady, has reportedly lost tens of millions of dollars in stock of the failed crypto exchange FTX. Brady is one of several celebrities who are currently allegedly in trouble by FTX customers for their endorsement of the crypto trading platform. One of the most popular, and I sat here flabbergasted, was news that Tom Brady had lost money in FTX. One layer lower was people who were confused how Tom Brady had any interactions with FTX. You know how a lot of you probably haven't been here before, or maybe you're new, or maybe you haven't been here long enough to hear me say this. You know, all of these people know each other, right? You know, when you get rich enough, what happens is that you actually start using like a wealth management service. This is why a lot of people who win the lotto, why they end up going broke. It's a lack of financial knowledge, anything. They don't know what to do with these hundreds of millions of dollars. But also, when you do become rich enough, especially as a celebrity in some sort of way, you actually get contacted by, or you find a money management service. So they will literally take their money, your money, and put it around for you in places that they think will be best for you. Like, it's tried and true. And this is where the idea of like generational wealth comes from. A lot of people think that generational wealth is like, I got money, I'm going to give it to my kids. No. You hand it off to a company and they invest in hundreds of things for you around the world, around the globe. They find the best tax policies for you. They find everything that makes sure that you are not only going to outpace inflation, but that you are basically insulated from other world events. So if something happens within the States, you are protected because a number of your investments are also in Europe. Something's going wrong in Europe, guess what? You have property in New Zealand. This is how a lot of these things work. I don't know for certain, but I would assume that Tom Brady probably did not sit in a room with Sam Bankman-Fried, because that's not how interactions work. At some point, someone saw that FTX was an exchange, and they were like, hey, they got contacted by FTX, and they were like, we'll give you X amount of money to promote this. Tom Brady does not sit in a room trying to figure out if FTX is good for all of you. This is why we heard before, remember the thing with Kim Kardashian and all these other celebrities who got in trouble for promoting Ethereum Max? Now, hear me out here. Unpopular opinion. It's not that I don't not blame the celebrities. Yes, double negative. But it's more of a, did you think that Kim Kardashian was doing research on something that she promoted to you? You know that this all goes through other proper channels. Like, there's a whole network of people that these people have who invest in things and tell them what they're going to endorse. Here's another even crazier one. A lot of times, these people don't deal with their own social media. So there will literally be a woman who reads all the emails, who will pass off something to someone else. They go through it and say, okay, how much is my client getting? And that then gets passed on to a third person who actually runs their social media. You know, a lot of celebrities don't actually run their social media pages. Even when you think it's them and the speech pattern is the same, you hire people who can write like them and sound like them, and they know like their cadence as they're typing. And these people write the tweets and the Instagram posts. They get a fraction of the money for doing so, for like running this person's social media 24/7. And then the celebrity whose face is at the top or in the corner of that social media platform, they get the money. I remember seeing tons of celebrities over the course of the last couple of years who've like gotten crap for endorsing these things. And I'm like, you know, it's not them, right? When you are getting $3.5 million for posting some images, these people aren't looking at it. They actually have other lives. When you have so much money, you live your life. You do other things. You're not worried about like, oh, hold on, guys, let me do some due diligence before I post this on my Instagram. No, someone tells you it's real. It gets posted. You get money in your bank account. So once again, it's not that it's not their fault. Someone should be doing due diligence, but understand that this is how the world works. When everything is fast and moving and quick and rapid, nothing gets checked. This is why we have this channel where we go over stuff and we talk about reality. So the news is that apparently there was stock somewhere, maybe just within the company. Was FTX public? I don't know, and I frankly, sincerely do not care. He lost tens of millions of dollars because at some point someone was like, hey, this sounds right or appropriate. I would even go so far as to say, now hear me out here. Here's a weird one. If he had stock in FTX, he probably has stock in Coinbase. What? Whoa, that's crazy. Why would he? Money management services. Also tying into this news, which I spoke about on Twitter a couple of days ago, and I let myself cool down a bit. This was one of the most popular news stories that has ever existed within the cryptocurrency space. I want to be lying to you. I want dearly that this was not the most popular news story one day. So apparently the legend goes, Taylor Swift apparently tried to have a deal with FTX for $100 million. Understand that. I don't listen to this woman's music. I know nothing about her except that she constantly is selling tickets for like $95 million. I'm going to go so far as to say Taylor Swift probably did not sit in a room with anyone from FTX, and it was probably her lawyers who were trying to broker this deal. Everyone with me? Cool. We're all on the same page. The news is, and people were like happy about this. I don't know what the word there is. People thought it was funny that she tried to have a deal for $100 million, and basically Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX said no to her for whatever reason. The story to me is this woman commands $100 million in a deal to promote something. That was the story for me. Not the fact that they didn't want to work with her or whatever, whatever was going on. I want to get to a point in my life where I can stand on stage and be like, have you heard of FTX? They are amazing. It's me, TMI Swift, and you should use this exchange. And then I look at my bank account and it says plus $100 million. Incredibly popular news. This was, I sat there and I was like, no, I still don't know what's happening to the space, but alas, here we are. Also, tying into this as well, apparently a lot of people thought it was very funny that Justin Bieber spent $1.3 million on his Bored Ape NFT. And now at the time, it's only roughly worth around $59,000. The news story here being for me that Justin Bieber, who I also don't know and care about, is completely, imagine being unfazed that you bought something for $1.3 million and you continue to live your best life. I think a lot of this had to do with like Schadenfreude. I think it was people being like, look at what he bought. It's worthless now. No, his other investments are still, you think Justin Bieber only invested in a Bored Ape NFT? Or do you think he has stocks and property and is, working with hedge funds that make him millions of dollars per year without actually doing anything? This was throwaway money for him. This was $1.3 million. That's, and I air quotes, that's only worth $59,000. I do sincerely wonder, How many people are going to have that same exact energy if the NFT market goes back up? If his Bored Ape ends up being worth $1.4 million, how many of the same articles will be written? How many of the same people will be making fun of him, if not adoring him at that point? Because I remember, you can find it, when he first bought this, everyone went crazy and started buying these same exact NFTs as well. So what happened? Everyone loves when someone else is doing bad, as opposed to looking down. Or dare I even say looking at your own situation. But also, who cares? Do you care that much about Justin Bieber that you made fun of him losing money for an NFT? Do you have $1.3 million to spend on an NFT? Do you have property in the Bahamas and in Australia? And I assume he has something in Paris, because every rich person has something in Paris. Incredibly popular news. Yeah, I think my battery's running dry. That's the cryptocurrency news for today. I sincerely, without a shadow of a doubt, do hope that you're all having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, and or subscribing. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.